The really story, I guess, of the year really has been obviously, well, since what, October the 7th, what, last year, has been the Israeli-Gaza conflict. And as you know, last Sunday, Saturday, wasn't it, our time? Yes, last Saturday, our time, New Zealand took an official position on that matter and expressed it at the United Nations. It's obviously reviewable for the future. But in giving that particular speech to the United Nations, our Foreign Affairs Minister Winston Peters made clear that we are prepared to help in any reconstruction of Gaza, whether or not Gaza will still be there or not, and did say that and reiterated, I guess, the support New Zealand has for a two-state solution to that particular part of the world. Now, for those of us who watch the occasional television program, I guess, and watch the news, we're thinking, oh, good luck on that, because all of Gaza seems to be in, well, various different piles of rubble. And Israel, as I talk to you now, is tightening the siege on Gaza City, which is a small, sort of an urban part of the Gaza Strip, as Hamas reviews the Trump peace plan that was put out with the support of many Arab nations in actual fact, and I think most Western nations as well. I think the idea that Hamas is going to agree to it is heroic, but there you go. And maybe that's the reason why Israel agreed to it, because they knew that Hamas wouldn't and would have the opportunity to level the place anyhow. But this isn't the first international conflict at which a area has suffered from genocide in our living memory. I'm thinking particularly of the Serbian and Kosovo conflicts, at which the United Nations got involved officially and militarily. And I was also thinking of other particular areas, including, I have to say, the sub-Sahara at the moment, which the rest of the world doesn't seem to be particularly interested in, unfortunately, but that's the hypocrisy of the West for you. But somebody who was involved intimately and re-establishing blasted areas officially is our next guest, and it's extraordinary that he lives in New Zealand. He's a former private secretary to Margaret Thatcher when she was in her pomp and heyday, I have to say. He then headed the United Nations pillar that's in Kosovo, and then was also involved in the Western reconstruction, or at least of Iraq after that particular conflict and war. He's worked in the area of international humanitarian aid from everywhere from Zimbabwe to Kosovo. He came to New Zealand in 2013, I guess, for the quiet life. And boy, he lives that. He's actually dedicated, as I'm just reading about him, and a bit of background before him. He's dedicated his life to yoga. So that's really, off the reservation, so to speak. But, and here's the but, no one will have more practical experience of rebuilding blasted areas and the most appalling, and also will have experience of, I have to say, the devastation of war ongoing after the bombs have stopped dropping. Andy Bearpark joins us now. Andy, welcome to the show. Lovely to have you on.
Thank you very much. Hello.
Listen, mate, what the hell induced you to come to New Zealand? There you are, a really important poo bar all over Europe and England, the United Kingdom, and you come to New Zealand. Why did you do that?
I'd say it's actually an easy one. I've got three daughters. One lived in Wellington, one was down in Cape Town in South Africa, and one back in the UK. And I didn't really want to go back to the UK. And between New Zealand and South Africa, I thought New Zealand's the place for me.
Yeah, well, you probably got a better chance of not getting robbed or carjacked. Good on you. You moved to the Wairarapa, is that right?
That's right, yeah. I stayed in Wellington for a while, but I don't really like the big cities, even though Wellington's not that big. I fancy this sort of more rural thing. And Featherston's just over the hill, and so I rather like it here.
You went to Featherston. There you go. From London and the inner sanctum of Margaret Thatcher to Featherston. That's quite a journey. There's a book in you. Have you written it yet?
I have written the short one, but that's all. I'm not going to do the big one. I think most politicians do that. It's not for me.
Well, I might have to go and write it for you. I'll come and see you and write it myself then, because it's just too fascinating not to be recorded. Listen, mate, as I said in the introduction, you've been involved in a number of reconstructions of war-torn areas. Kosovo, Iraq, perhaps the two biggies, but you've worked in the whole area of international humanitarian aid. Can I get your aegis, please, on President Trump's peace plan? But more importantly, I see one of the successors to Margaret Thatcher, Tony Blair, wants to be involved in a board of peace in Gaza. What do you have to do to rebuild a place like Gaza?
Well, the physical rebuilding is not actually that much of a problem. The two big issues are money, and money will be available in this case. And also the particular issue for Gaza will be lots of unexploded bombs lying around. But physically rebuilding it is not going to be a big issue. It'll just take a long time. The bigger issue is the social ones. It's the true rapprochement between the two sides, because even though Israel sort of has come forward with Donald Trump on this one, Hamas haven't spoken yet, and one finds it a bit hard to believe we're really seeing peace in our time.
Yeah, so when you have two intractable forces, I mean, Kosovo, obviously, and Yugoslavia, as it started to break up, are really good examples. And you have people who still hate each other. Do you need to push those people apart, do you, and some sort of international force stand literally in the middle?
I think that's absolutely right. You need a barrier between them, so it's not really practicable or useful for one of them to attack the other. And unfortunately for Gaza, whatever happens, Israel's a lot bigger, a lot more powerful, and Gaza is not in a good position.
Okay, so what from a professional point of view, Trump's peace plan, what chance do you give it really, despite it having a fair bit of international backing?
Well, to be honest, I think the international backing is a bit irrelevant. The American backing is what matters. It's got that, so that's okay. But the fact that Hamas weren't involved in discussions, the fact they haven't spoken yet, doesn't really sort of sound very good to me.
Okay, so if Hamas are not going to sign this, is there a point that they are motivated at all by the suffering of the Palestinian people, that they don't put their best interests first, or is that just stupid thinking?
It's not stupid thinking, but I think it's optimistic thinking. The fact is that terrorists like Hamas, have one objective in sight, and they really don't care that much about the suffering that they're not suffering. Individually they may be, but collectively they're not. So they're prepared to put up with the suffering.
So if the aim, so if Israel was suddenly to withdraw from the Gaza conflict and say, okay, we've been cowed into submission, we'll pop back over the border again, one presumes that Hamas would still continue to control the Gaza Strip. Is that right? Is that a fair assumption?
Well, that's right. I mean, that's what we are for Israel.
Listen, you're cracking up, Andy. We can't get you on the line properly. I'll get Josh to get a better line for you. We're talking to Andy Bearpark, who, as I said, has headed a number of United Nations and international efforts at the revitalisation of blasted peoples, and we're specifically talking about the Israel-Gaza conflict. You would hope that it's coming to its end game at the moment, and after the Trump peace plan. But as we've just pointed out, the reality is, and it is the reality, that if Hamas say nope, then there is no peace plan, and we're back into war again and into further conflict. Andy, we've got you back again. I hope we've got you on a better line.
Okay, let's hope.
Yep, okay, we'll do our best. Listen, mate, if Hamas say no, then the conflict's on again. You would have looked at this just from the basis of your international experience. What's the likely outcome in your view?